This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. All lowercase.
Okay. Good morning,
Sorry.
everyone.
I've got a bit of a African clawed toad in the throat. Oh, I remember those used to be boiling in the biology lab. I wonder what that was about.
African clawed toads?
African clawed toads. They used to boil them as some sort of experiment.
There was a lot that used
to
to
do with
happen
me. I was a mere pupil.
in the biology lab that it would not happen now, thankfully.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Exactly.
We had very different... There was some cruelty in the biology lab.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of
awful,
cruelty.
really.
I'm very surprised that it's a very exotic thing to be boiling.
Look, I don't...
Yeah.
You know, I don't make the rules.
Yeah, very Harry Potter.
Yeah, it is a bit, actually. Yeah, I don't know if it had been on the board previously. The Vivi board.
Someone was
You see
saying...
sometimes stickers in cars, African clawed toad on board.
Talking of boards, someone was pointing... I saw someone pointing out recently on one of the social medias that, of course, the concept of the nails down a blackboard, apologies to anyone at home listening, even hearing that I know is a bit grating,
Yeah.
what will cease to exist as a concept for the young because they have the whiteboard now.
So the blackboards have gone completely.
Oh, blackboard's obsolete.
As far as I'm aware. I caught the tail end of the blackboard.
Oh, okay.
Not the toad.
Yeah, we shouldn't have turned so sharply. He came into the classroom. I remember we had a teacher, Mr. Harrison, who used to throw the board rubber.
Yeah.
Not very accurately. And,
What, at the pupils?
Yeah, at the pupils. And
Absolute Radio.
but with a sort of collateral damage effect of just whoever was near the...
well, exactly. He once missed and hit, I shouldn't name her, but I'll just say Lane, a girl called Lane, on the head. It was a redhead who had her hair tied back, and she had the white rectangle of the board rubber on the side of her head for the rest of the lesson, where it had just slapped her on the head. I remember he just went, "Sorry, Elaine," and that was that. Oh, now it would be obviously a tribunal. I don't miss Thursdays. I wouldn't want my child to be having board rubbers thrown at them. As you say, there aren't any anymore, are there?
No.
Well, those foam whiteboard things.
Yeah, much lighter.
Never quite get it off.
Yeah.
You know, when you go into sometimes if you're in an office, you see the ghost of a million meetings on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Oh man, as if you're Columbo coming and says, "Oh, my wife's a big fan of. When did you talk about her?" So yeah, I've been watching quite a bit. I've had a Columbo revival just lately. I love Columbo so much, but you know, there are things you love so much that you neglect them. Hey guys, you listening? And that was it. I loved Columbo, but I've got the complete box set of all his series.
Have you?
So I thought, it's always there, Columbo. And then I was in on my own, and I just flicked through there's never anything on telly you want to watch, ever. And there was Columbo, and I thought, I'll have a look at that. And it just instantly, I thought, yes. This is why I was obsessed with Columbo all those years. I could feel it immediately. Brilliant.
Was
Absolutely.
it lots of, and I suspect it was lots of actors who hadn't had their teeth done, and I always find that quite comforting.
I know, yes, those were the days. Now all we've got is Mary Beard and Simon Sharma and me. Those are the only true, real, allowed to decay teeth. As the Roman ruins in Britain were allowed to decay after their exit. Yeah, so that's that.
Frank, also, just quickly, Gareth Hughes has been in touch. He was very excited because there was something trending this week on social media. What's the most underrated British comedy series?
It won't be Shane.
Well, a couple of people have said they think that should be Shane. I think Shane was mentioned by a few people.
I think it was underrated, but accurately.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Regarding Columbo,
Yeah.
I became aware the other day of the classic, let's release a tie-in book with this long-running TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And, let's not always ensure that it's of maximum quality. But I'm very excited by this. I came across it the other day. Cooking with Columbo.
Oh, fantastic. Italian cookery.
No, suppers with the shambling sleuth.
But I like that. I like that. That's very good.
It's episode guides, and you get a recipe from Columbo, but also the guest stars.
Well, I learnt a culinary technique from Columbo.
What?
Because he...
But
What does that mean?
Oh, in real life.
Yeah. No, not in real life, from the programme. He went into a place and he had chilli. And of course, I always thought chilli came with rice, but he had it in just a bowl of chilli. And he did that thing, which I have since done, totally on his inspiration. He's crumbled crackers onto the top of the
Totally on
chilli.
his
Texas style.
Yeah. Someone I worked with said, if we could get you anything for an end of series present, what would it be? And I said, I'd like a signed photograph of Peter Falk as Columbo. And they got me. They contacted his agent and all that. And he signed it in block capitals.
Yeah.
Oh.
And obviously I said, all right, no need to shout. But it's not, I wasn't convinced.
Has he got a glass eye, though? Is that
Yes,
why?
he does.
All right, bring that up. Well, I told you, I once had a debate on stage with David Baddiel about that.
Did you?
Because he said Columbo's got a glass eye. And I said, I'm not sure Columbo has got a glass eye. I think Peter Falk's got a glass eye that plays a real eye in the series. But someone wrote to this show and said, no, there's a moment in Columbo when he says, like, I'll keep an eye on that. And it'll have to be one or something like that. So Columbo does have a glass eye as well.
Oh, God.
I'm glad we've cleared that up in
Does the
the year of
glass
our
eye
Lord
still
2000.
Is the glass eye still exist
22.
as a phenomenon? Could I get a glass eye on the National Health Service?
Surely.
Okay, I
Surely.
told you, don't call me Shirley.
You sound very confident, Pierre.
I can't imagine they'll turn you down.
Here's my
Christmas?
hold it. My Iggy Pop fact has arrived.
Okay.
This is about Lost for Life. Released in the 70s,
yeah.
but got most exposure in the 90s on the Train Spotting movie.
Oh, is that
So
correct?
lame, so lame.
Does he still?
I mean, that's pretty generally.
is
around.
he still sans top, Iggy Pop?
I tell you what, he's very long trunked.
Oh, the trunk of the man.
I saw him, I've seen him live a few times, but the last time I saw him live, from the angle I was at, he looked like when a Jack in the Box comes out and it's on its
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
Do you know, I
He's
hard relate
trunk.
with Iggy because I have a long trunk.
Do you?
Yeah. And I mean, I think our similarities end there, pretty much.
Okay.
But it is tricky with clothing. You have to be careful. And all I'm saying is, would I wear a low-slung leather pant and nothing else? Probably not.
Well, that's probably good this weather. But a crop top. A crop top.
We come into our own then.
Yeah, a crop top makes its own abyss. It can be stroking the belt, or it can be above the navel. A
That's
crop
true.
top, has a certain independence.
You find the measure of someone when they crop their top.
Yeah, you do, but
Yeah.
that really gives you.
We have a lot of real estate when we get the crop top out.
Yeah.
Can I ask a final question? Does Iggy? I'm imagining he favours a black platform trainer in the sort of Rolling Stones mode.
No, I think of him in a sort of a leather boot with the jeans, usually.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's. I saw him live at Birmingham when he sat on a dustbin and did a couple of numbers, and it was brilliant. Like Top Cat had got a cool cousin who'd come over from Milwaukee.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, I would like to formally thank you for my wonderful Christmas present, which you gave me this morning. It was, very simply, it's Brian Blessed's autobiography,
There you
and
go.
it's called absolute pandemonium,
Yes.
which I would love him to do that show.
I'd love him to do that. Yeah, that would be a great show on here.
And then what he's done, I tell you what Brian's done. What he's done, some might say rather unnecessarily, he's got a little subtitle.
Yes.
And he's put in, obviously in block caps, my louder than life story.
Well, as I said, I wondered if the whole book might be in block capitals to suggest shouting. But he hasn't done that. He's gone lowercase. There's nothing lowercase about Brian Blessed, is there?
I'm so excited. Some of the pictures, I mean, there are some fabulous, a lot of Mark Antony with a lot of makeup, heavy theatre makeup on.
Oh, fabulous.
It's going to be good. Thank you so much.
Mon plaisir. Meanwhile, I turned to get the title of my book, but the philosophy of... I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Bob Dylan book about philosophy of modern song. I can't see the title for me. It was one of those great moments when I saw it in a shop and I thought I'm going to treat myself to that, and I didn't get it, and then someone has bought it for me. Risolta Mondo.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the thing. You know what? This happens to me. You might not know about this, Pierre, unless it came up in the van. But every now and again I am struck as if anew by the fact it's always Test cricket. I got up a couple of days ago and Test cricket live from Pakistan was on my television, and I have this, I would say to my partner, what about that? Actually, that's actually happening in Pakistan now. We can see it here. And look, and this time I embroidered it. I said, and look, there's snow outside. And we can see what's happening in Pakistan. And it really excites me.
Oh, I'm so pleased
I'm going to say exhilarates. I can't believe it.
I can't believe it. Bringing that old catchphrase back.
That I do believe it, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, was it?
I had another realisation this week. I went to Ryman's, which is one of my favourite days out.
Where else did you go, Jams? 1972 did you go to?
I love stationery, though, and in all its manifestations. And I bought... they had some Bic 4 Colours originals.
Sure.
Now, you know the ones I mean, the biro with a slide, so you can write. Now, I do a lot of colour coding in my stand-up writing, so I'll write in black, and then I'll go through and underline some stuff in blue, and then some stuff gets red.
Hang on, what do you mean with the slide?
So you've got 4 colours in the same pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must remember this, baby.
Those!
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw this thing. There was a 3-pack, I'll be straight with you. And I thought, hold on, I could just have one pen in my pocket instead of having to have a black one, a blue one, and a red one. And I've got green as a bonus. And it was like a moment of, oh my God. I hadn't thought of that. So I bought a 3-pack, and it had 2 Bic 4 Colour originals, and one I haven't even tried yet because I'm so excited. I don't want to rush you. A Bic 4 Colour Pro. What does that do? What does that do?
No training wheels on this pen.
Thought
On this
transfer.
baby.
Maybe I just think green and the slide slowly goes down. But what does the Pro do that the original doesn't do?
Are you ready for the Pro, though? Do you think?
Well, when do I try the Pro? I'm putting it off and putting it off.
Build a day of recovery.
And it's black, the Pro.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a night.
What sort of nib size
Night
are we?
pen.
What nib size are we talking?
Nib? Nib? Have you mistaken me for Charles Dickens?
The biro. Sorry. So, do you dispense with
It's a
the
ball.
concept of
Operated
the
by
nib?
it's a ball operated.
It's a ball, but I would still call the tip the nib. Are we not allowed to refuse nib?
No, it's not a nib. Not even that. Just standard. I don't know what it is on the Pro. It might flare out into like a, those brushes that you see jazz drummers using. It might have something like that. Who knows what the Pro will be? I'll have to tell you after the holidays if I've dared to try it by then. I'm really expecting If anyone, if there's a stationery enthusiast who knows what the Big 4 Colour Pro does that the Big 4 Colour Original doesn't, I'm happy to have my joy anticipated.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This morning's text in, don't forget, do you eat the butter sealing on pate? So, perhaps I should clarify that. No, Joe, no pun intended. I was, as I say, it's hamper season, and I've got a fine pate, a smoked salmon pate, and it's got a butter sealing. So the top 2 millimetres at least is just rock solid butter that you have to break through.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sort of Dolph Lundgren flat top in the Rocky films, you may recall.
But would
Drago?
And as
find
high in protein.
I find it too much, so I discard the butter sealing.
What do you mean you cut it off?
I break through it as if I was an Inuit seeking fish.
Yes.
And then I scoop it out and take that off and just get stuck into the squidgy.
Scoop pate. It's all a bit haphazard.
I can't eat a sheet of butter. I mean, for God's sake.
Does it make
Who
you
am
feel...
I, Robert Carrier?
I mean, it's not. It's
Robert Carrier, when I was living in a council house, I used to watch this program called Food, Wine and Friends, which was so far from my own life.
That's a terrible name for a program.
If it had been coming from Mars, it could not have been more alien to me. Robert Carrier would say, yes, I'm going to make a and then you'd see him going to the airport. He would go to France to get some herbs from a field, and then he'd come back,
Right.
and then Susan Hampshire would visit.
Yeah.
And
sounded describing my childhood so
yes.
far.
and he would cook her a meal, and that was Food, Wine and Friends. But I was fascinated by it, but I can't. There can't be two things happening on Earth that are more different than my life at the time and his. But God bless him.
So the pate, Pierre, how would you approach the? What are you calling it, Frank? The head,
I'm calling it the butter sealing.
the butter sealing. How would you approach the butter sealing?
I think I'd have to do my best to incorporate it.
Oh, would you?
Wild.
Yes, you're quite a forager.
Yeah, but I don't want my smoked salmon pates to be like a rocky road Ben and Jerry's with chunks of brittle butter instead of dime bars.
Do you know Ben and Jerry's is the lush of the ice cream world?
Is it? Is it?
Well, that's just
is it low rent?
you
I
know
thought
that-
it was the.
No. I just mean there's a lot in there.
Oh yeah.
And lush, I always say, I don't want my soap to have bacon and egg in it, or whatever
No.
they put in there. And I find that a bit with Ben and Jerry's. I wish them well, lovely work they're doing, but come on, I don't throw sardines and a TV and the ice cream. I just want ice cream.
Yeah.
Well, I remember having to explain to a girlfriend that the scratches on my back were from my sandalwood and hazelnut soap. Didn't work.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I had some toffee beer this week.
What's that?
Toffee beer is the Harry Potter phenomenon butter beer, homemade if you can't get butterscotch essence and you can only get toffee. That's what it is.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever tried butter beer, the Harry Potter drink.
No.
It is so good. I can't believe that Harry Potter Inc., which don't feel like an organisation who are loath to make money
Yeah.
and expand fiscally, haven't put it in every corner shop, basically. So it's really nice. But I've now that I've seen it reduced to a recipe, I realise it's basically a drink that was very commonplace when I was a kid called American ice cream soda. And it's that with just a little bit of butterscotch in it, done.
Ah.
Yeah. I went to the Harry Potter shop in in King's Cross this weekend.
Did you stop for a quick photo next to the wall holding the trolley or not?
I didn't. No, I didn't do that. There was a large queue for that to hold that trolley. But I would say it's probably the most expensive shop in the world.
Yes. Harrods has nothing on the Harry Potter
No, it's
shop.
incredible. It's absolutely...
Even more so than your other old favourite, the M&M.
Yeah, but the M&M is basically free compared to the Harry Potter shop.
Is it?
Is there an alarm in J.K. Rowling's house that will eventually go off and say, enough? And she'll say, oh, that's it, relax. Let's drop the price. It's unbelievable.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I said on here before, I've been established both by a questionnaire and by random dice throwing as a member of Ravenclaw House.
Okay.
And I thought I'll get a badge. I'll just get a little tiny lapel badge.
Support the troops.
$7.99.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry. Must be. Is there some mistake?
For a badge?
It's
A badge?
and I love Harry Potter. I've read the books to my kid. He's seen all the films. It means a tremendous amount to a lot of people.
Not
But
to me,
it doesn't
but it
mean
does
that
mean...
much.
Well, I do remember. I saw the first film with you, Frank.
Oh yes,
Do you
we
remember
went to the premiere together.
First and last time I've ever.
Yes, I remember that. I remember Jonathan Ross coming and taking our wands because he said you won't need those because you don't have children. So that was, brutal, I thought. Fairly brutal.
As he jammed them into his back pocket.
He had a sack of wands.
Like his kids ever saw those ones.
Oh my God, he could have taken on He Who Shall Not Be Named and not be troubled by it. But that was a free Harry Potter thing. Those were the days.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
I've just had a request in for you.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it should be saved for off air. It's a request, but I think you might feel all right about this. We'll soon find out.
Okay.
Frank would like to speak with Terry Butcher today.
Pardon?
Would you like to chat with Terry Butcher today?
No. Why?
It's about the Three Lions.
Oh, look, let's just pretend Three Lions never happened.
I know, Frank. I know.
Can't even think about it anymore. I put the curse on Harry. I described Harry Kane as the best striker in the world on this show last week.
Oh.
And that very night he missed a penalty.
Oh, Frank.
Poor Harry.
I know.
Still the best striker in the world.
I would agree with that.
Can I say I'm feeling a bit sort of bony today? I've been ill, lost a bit of weight. So I've put, to sit on, I've used the envelope from Emily's Christmas card, which is such an expensive envelope. It's cushioned.
Well, that's why your hair scrapes the ceiling this morning.
I might take it back for my dog to go in its basket.
Pierre, I came in this morning, Pestle. I've heard about your envelope.
Yes.
They honestly,
This is my normal greeting to anyone.
Let's see if I can get them to sponge on Mike.
Yeah. Gosh. That's an envelope with TOG, isn't it?
Oh, man. Yeah, I wonder what tongue it is.
Winter rating,
We'll have
30.
to ask Smithsons, who obviously I don't get a discount from, because no one gets a discount from these people.
The card was a bit toasty when it came out. So maybe that. Have we had any news on, I don't know what we've been talking about, stationery, the butter ceiling?
There's so much going on.
Okay.
We have some news on Clive Silas regarding the butter ceiling. Until now, I thought that was just pure fat. #idiotic eureka moment live.
Well, I'm guessing, but it's very yellow, and
I
think it's butter.
I must admit, I did. There was a phase where I just thought, they're sort of as they mix it, it rises to the top and it forms this naturally. How marvelous!
I like the idea of that phase in your life.
Very naive young man.
I think it's butter ceiling.
I'll tell you what it is. It's to preserve...
Is that what women in the dairy industry talk about, the butter ceiling?
it's essentially it's like aspic, isn't it? So it's to preserve the pate for longer. You can eat it. Of course you can cut it off. I wouldn't advise it in company, but if that's how you choose to behave, so be it.
Well, like I say, I took it out more or less wholesale.
Yeah.
Like an Inuit would cut a hole in ice like that.
Yeah.
And I've finished the pate now, and I've ended up with one of those jars, what I call a grolsch jar. So it's got a bit of a grolsch fastener.
Yeah.
And it always seems wrong to throw them away because, I don't know, I imagine them in a shed with screws in them, even though that will never happen in my life.
Yes.
But it's hard to throw away one of those with the grolsch fastener if you're doing something wrong. But what can I put in it?
Just more pate, I think, is the problem.
But it comes in its own jar.
Well, that's it.
Use it as some lovely rosemary.
Can
or
you get
some...
packet pate that you then decant?
In a sort of like an icing squeezer.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the idea of a dock coming through a nozzle. You have to have some sort of respect for the dead.
A duck piping.
No, exactly. That just seems wrong to me. I know they're gone, but you know.
They're gone.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about a number of things this morning.
Can I say that the studio's just exploded? That Faye has brought in a cake that I would be happy to buy from any fancy baker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible, which she's made. And then Molly has made some reindeer biscuits using pretzels for antlers. I mean, that's clever.
It's turned into some random bake-off.
That is clever. So, yeah, we really are. And Sarah got us all a chocolate Santa. If it snows now and it's 20 foot high, we could live for 4 days.
What do you think, looking at the Santa, without wishing to body shame Santa, I've got to be honest, I think Santa, he's differently proportioned to myself and Iggy Pop, but I do think what he has in common with us, he's got a slightly wider girth, let's be honest.
Well,
But I think the torso, he looks quite long torsoed, Frank.
For the chimney.
yes.
Oh, is that what it is, Pierre?
So he can sort of manoeuvre himself through various...
Yeah, I have to say, yes, he's very light on hips.
Yes.
He looks like a chimney dweller.
yeah.
I mean, I feel that he's straining to keep his belt up because there's no shape underneath.
No.
I don't like the way. I mean, obviously you can't see, but mine the bell is hanging at the front in a way.
I don't like the positioning.
No, I don't like the bell there.
Okay. What I would say is he hasn't got an awful lot of junk in the trunk.
No.
It's less...
But you can't afford that. I mean, I know he's often portrayed as fat, but if you're take the chimney way into homes, you can't afford to get too rotund.
No. His belly's less like a big bowl full of jelly and more like a sort of ramekin of jelly.
I guess if you saw him in the summer, he's probably a big bloke, and then he goes into a sort of a hardcore training boot camp.
Rocky montage in the snow.
Does he do
black boot with white fur top camp?
Does he do a sort of Mark Wahlberg, set the alarm for 3 a.m?
He'll do that thing that actors think make them brilliant actors when you lose or gain weight very quickly. As if that, oh man, what a brilliant actor, he's lost 3 stones in 2 months. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, the Slimmer of the Year then should be in for an Oscar nomination.
I tell you, who's a big fan of that? McConaughey.
Yeah.
Oh, McConaughey loves a bit of Weight Watchers.
But they really think that makes... And the thing that makes me angriest of all, there's so many ugly people out of work, and then you get beautiful actresses and actors who put a pair of glasses and some false teeth on and pad themselves out and take work that ugly people should be getting.
It's like with Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. Batman.
It's outrageous.
There's a fat little man out there with a penguin-like face who can't pay his mortgage because handsome Colin Farrell.
No, as if they're not getting enough. It's really wrong.
You're right. Poor old character. I mean, they used to have a...
Ugly face, I call it.
They used to be, you're right, the character actor.
Yeah.
I mean, the death of the character actor.
Yeah, I find it really resentful, the big false nose and all that.
It was a reason not to moisturise.
Don't do ugly tourism. We're not having it.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
if you got to live, you got to walk the walk. If you're going to be an ugly actor, you got to be an ugly actor in the green room.
Yeah. Scraggly, lined face.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Features.
Fat actors watching thin actors put on 4 stone to play a part. I mean, smash their faces in if I got hold of them. Yeah. That's got to stop. I bet that's for a New Year's resolution for Hollywood.
Well, speaking of weight gain, Chris Walker gets in touch regarding the butter ceiling
Oh, yeah.
and says, scrape off butter, spread on hot toast, and it will melt. Then top with the pate. Boing, boing.
What, it all comes in... It's a sort of a sandwich kit.
Yeah.
Well, they should have put some toast in there and gone the whole hot.
Toast layer, like it's a horrible savoury trifle.
Yeah, I don't... Oh, God, a savoury trifle. How lovely. I remember someone wrote to the show in the very early days and said they like to microwave their pork pie so that the jelly melted. And when they took the roof off the pork pie, it looked like a meat-based Coke float.
God.
Good night.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Where's Pierre?
Pierre has just arrived. He's just... the
What?
track
Where did you
wasn't...
go, Pierre?
Oh, don't ask.
Oh. Did you go? Oh.
I think if you're away for more than a whole track, you don't want to ask.
Oh, really?
That's going to be like open heart surgery.
Do you know, it wouldn't surprise me if Pierre did a bit of that mid-song. I mean, he's got that in his game.
He's probably just done a podcast.
Yeah, he's done 3.
Just 100 push-ups or something.
Oh, he did that.
Did we get any big
Yes.
4-Colour Pro news?
A little bit.
We did. We've had Diane K. Sharp.
Oh, I like the sound of Diane K. Sharp.
Looks like a fellow Bic 4-colour aficionado in Peter Piper. The Pro seems to be all about the grip. And what Diane K. Sharp has included is a screen grab of an Amazon review. She's gone in quite deep, Diane K. Sharp.
Good old Diane. Yeah, who would you say was the most prominent central initial people of the age?
Oh, lovely.
It's died out a bit, hasn't it? Do you remember William G. Stewart, who,
Yes.
who used to host 15 to 1? Why bother with that?
You tend to get the sort of the middle names or middle initials with sort of assassins and serial killers in America.
Oh, it's terrible,
you?
but it's true.
Yeah.
Of course you
Lee
do.
Harvey Oswald and
Yeah, but he wasn't Lee
but I'm on
H.
about
Oswald.
he wasn't Lee H. Oswald.
to his friends.
Yeah, on his tax returns.
Lee H.
Hey, Lee H. How's it going? Busy.
And then you get the guys. What about those guys that go initial first of all? F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Oh, what about was there Murray Abraham? Something Murray Abraham, the Amadeus actor?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Was there
sure
an
he
F?
was an initial.
Did he have an F?
Was he F. Murray Abraham?
He might have been, or that
Yeah.
could have just been graffiti on his Winnebago. Okay, I don't know.
I love a first
Who does
initial.
it now? Does Will.i.am count? Because he's very complicated. There's all sorts of punctuation.
William
going.
Ignatius Am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know
I
where
think
Will.i.am.
where it started generally was with your writers. It was a novelist's conceit, wasn't it? Your G.K. Chestertons. We have all sorts of them, don't we? A.A. Mills.
P.G. Woodhouse.
Thank you. They were the only people. It was very much their manner.
But I'm on about even those double initial. I'm on about someone who's got a middle.
Yeah, I know.
William H. Macy,
Lovely.
Who's that?
the actor from Fargo.
You know him.
Sort of
He's got
slightly
quite,
pathetic.
quite goggle eyes.
My favourite, just the solitary initial, is H. Samuel. I love. Who thought that's a bloke who started off in quite a narrow shop, isn't he? And thought I can't get Hiram on there. I'm just gonna go H. Samuel. I mean, what? I love that. That's fabulously minimalist.
It's the mystery of it.
If I sign a lot of stuff, I sign F. Skinner for that. It's
Well,
a
what about when I got
tribute to H. Samuel?
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute
We were talking.
Okay.
We were talking
About
Bic pens,
Yeah.
and Diane K. Sharp
Yes.
has shared with
Not
us.
Diane K. Sharpie.
No.
Our pen expert.
She should be. Diane K. Sharp has shared with us a screen grab of an Amazon review.
Long and wet.
Well, this is from.
It's an Amazon review.
Oh, lovely. Oh, you didn't go Bezos. You
No.
went the original.
Yeah, exactly.
This is from Peter Piper, who's
Okay.
I would describe him as a pen fanatic.
The one
Yeah.
who backed all those pickled peppers.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He bicked.
What I like is Peter Piper has in parenthesis next to his name on the review, top 500 reviewer.
Oh.
Oh, God, I don't think I'd bring it up. Top 5. That's like in Blackpool Tower, they got a thing saying the 122nd tallest freestanding tower in the world. All right.
To be fair to PP, this might have been Amazon that did this.
I mean, okay.
It might not be his
He
work.
might have what they used to call, when I was growing up, a certificate. He might have a certificate.
So Peter Piper says big 4-colour pens have their fans,
Yeah.
but also some people who find them a bit too thick or slippery to hold. Personally,
Who?
I'm a big fan of these pens, and I
Yeah.
have been since I first used them at school in the late 1970s. Bic got the design right first time, but the pens have evolved over the years to add new colours, fine writing tips and soft grips, not to mention the various barrel colour options.
Pardon?
Barrel colour
Oh, barrel,
options.
okay.
These pro pens, in quote
Oh, here we
marks-
go. We're into pro territory. Yeah.
Sorry, the level of excitement on your face.
Well,
when
I want to know
mention
what's the
We're
pro
getting to
got.
it. These pro pens will delight many Bic fans. And might even convert a few of the people who don't like Bic 4-colour pens due to their very comfortable, contoured, soft feel grip.
Oh, so it's all about grip. I'm not getting any extra. It's not thought transference sliding.
Performance is good and they last well.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay?
Well, I mean, I've got one now.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was very noble at the start of that review for him to say they've got their fans.
yeah.
These kinds of pens.
Yeah, big fans. I mean, who knew they were out there?
Well, we've learned something as well. Well, I have, because the barrel is not it's not a word I would have associated with the pen.
No, but he's got a point. If you're a bit clammy, it's a very gloss barrel. You can find yourself slipping all over the place.
In terms of also the middle initial characters,
Yes.
we've had a few sent through. Ruth Jordan sent through Donald J. Trump, middle initials, but you're not counting that?
Generally called that, is he?
We've had one we will count, I think, from the show's very own Daisy Knight.
Oh, Daisy Knight, our former producer.
Yes.
And now Overgruppenführer.
Beg your pardon.
I think that's her official title.
She's very, very high up now. Daisy Knight, I think this is great work from DK. Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, of course. Of course.
You nailed it.
You forget him at your peril.
Yeah. When the name came up, a kangaroo jumped across my consciousness as if it had left the front of his Kangol.
Oh, who's the gonzo journalist?
On to S. Thompson.
I thought he was one.
Well, we're on an absolute roll now. Just out of the respect to our listeners, we'll do most of it off air.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, may I briefly I feel I have to tell you this. Steve Aldcroft has sent in an image of someone which I think will be very dear to your heart. In terms of the middle initial, there might
Okay.
be a hero of yours that you may have somewhat overlooked.
Okay.
I will kick you off. E for Edward. He is someone whose music is quite polarising.
I was thinking A. Houseman. I think he's
no longer with us, sadly.
Okay.
I think you may have met him. And one of my favourite of his output is Spoilt Victorian Child.
Of course, Marky Smith. Oh,
yeah.
God, how could I have forgotten that?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Of course.
And what about Anton D. Beck?
And AJ Ratcliffe finally says, special mention for George R.R. Martin,
Oh,
who
yeah.
decided one initial wasn't enough.
Yeah, he decided to take a sort of a posh laugh as a middle name. George R. Martin.
Yeah.
Yes.
What does the R and the R stand for?
Rock and roll, I think. I think he's
can you
the
imagine?
grandfather
Yeah.
of Ned Rock and Roll, who went out with Kate Winslet.
Married her, I believe.
Did he
Rita,
marry
she
her?
married him.
Oh, Mrs.
yeah.
Rock and Roll.
No, but that's a good thing. What does the RR stand for in...
I think, what do you think?
is it George R.R. Martin?
It is.
Yeah.
So it was... Did he do it to distinguish himself from the Beatles' producer?
I mean, I can't imagine there'd be much confusion because...
Well, George Martin, pretty famous.
Well, that's what I mean. But George R.R. Martin, the Beatles producer, wasn't, as far as I'm aware, fond of... Didn't have a long beard and wore the caps and the purple
No.
waistcoats with moon, sun and stars on them.
But you can imagine George R.R. Martin starting out and thinking, I don't want people to think I'm that guy who did.
I have a suspicion that it was some canny marketing on the
Okay.
part of Mr. Martin, thinking, do you know what fantasy authors tend to sound like? You got Tolkien and Rowling. We got to get some initials in here.
Okay,
I want to get
yes.
some of that subliminal
Like
recognition.
Ian M. Banks.
Yes, he's come up a few times, as has Harry H. Corbett.
Well, of course, Ian M. Banks, when he wrote what I would call non-sci-fi, it was Ian Banks. And then when he wrote sci-fi, it was Ian M. Banks. So he sort of distinguished the two.
Okay.
And of course, J.K. Rowling has also got another initial thing, Galbraith.
Yes, yes. I think with the authors, though, we have to accept, we can't... These authors are a law unto themselves, and
Yeah.
they will do that. But the celebrities in the entertainment field, it is more of a rarity. The politics... people have been sending in a lot of presidents.
John F.
Obviously.
Kennedy.
Yeah, Harry
Yeah,
S.
maybe
Truman.
we should limit it to show business.
Yeah.
I
Show
think we should. We've
business
got to be
initials.
strict about this.
Yeah.
Can we also please discuss something which I thought was massively up your Strasser? Oh, I saw this. I thought of you. Do you know what I'm talking about, Pierre? It involves Lego.
Ah, yes. And the
Did you see-
Nazarene.
Yeah.
Oh, the Lego Church.
Did you? Oh, do you know, Frank? I really felt happy for you. A font made of actual Lego.
Well, I've never felt, I think, more of a shortfall between a headline and an actual body of text. Because when it said Lego Church does first baptism, I imagined, do you know the Ice Hotel?
Yes.
Yeah.
I imagined the church completely constructed of
Yeah.
Lego, and I thought, wow, that's going to be incredible.
Ideally in Denmark.
Well,
Where Lego is from.
Is that the home of Lego? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say the baptism was more that someone had made a square frame out of Lego and put a bowl in the middle of it.
Oh, no.
I had questions about the waterproofness as someone who tried to use Lego to hold water as a child.
Did you?
It doesn't hold water.
What were you
doesn't really-
making? Or some sort of
Even if
Lego
you-
gobbler?
Even if you put it on one of its pimply platforms.
Water will bead readily on the surface of Lego, but when
will
you
it?
want to make a moat or some sort of body of water,
We'll delve into this. I mean, it's a Church of England thing, so it's not exactly my area. Lego seems a bit on trend for Church of England. I thought there'd be more stickle bricks.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, Pierre Novellie and Josh Widdicombe, who've just gone past. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. I had a breath. Where's me inhaler? Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. There's an argument for email because there's other things.
yeah.
I mean, I
E-commerce.
miss the e-cigarette terminology. Vape is an ugly word.
Oh.
But the e-cigarette.
What about
beautiful.
that man I went out with, Frank, who's turned into a vape billionaire?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
I'm actually quite proud of that. He was very early to the market. A friend of mine growing up in North London, and we became more than friends briefly.
Who would
And
have
he's now a
predicted
vape billionaire.
the vape boom?
Just think, I could be living in an e-cig mansion.
You could be
You
living,
could, yeah.
living on a cotton candy flavoured cloud.
Do you think they have anything in the house that's a sort of an homage to how the fortune was built?
I think he enters the room like on Stars in Their Eyes. He comes through a cloud of bags.
What I'd do, if I was the wife of the e-cig millionaire, but billionaire, I would, I don't know if he's quite billionaire, but he's doing well for himself. I'd have a thing where when you press the bell, there would be a cloud of smoke for every guest that entered the house.
Yeah.
Even a rental
Well, going
or
to Bob
something.
Marley's. Yeah, well, it never occurred to me there's such a thing as a vape millionaire.
Oh, he's done.
See, if they'd stop with e-cigarette, an e-millionaire sounds even better, I think.
That's true. And it'd be nice in 100 years when someone very, very posh can walk down a flight of stairs in a stately home and say, of course, the family money comes from vaping, the vape trade.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd love that.
I don't like the vaping thing.
Oh, well,
I think I'm bitter because I had a joke about e-cigarettes, which when I wrote it, thought this is such a great joke. I'm so proud of this. I don't think it ever got a laugh. And then I was saying, I smoke an e-cigarette unless I'm feeling a bit melancholy and bittersweet, and then I smoke an E-minor cigarette. And I think it was too much for people. They didn't want to hear
when you
it.
say too much.
They didn't want to hear
I like
it.
the fact that you don't acknowledge that maybe they didn't find it funny. It's too much for their small minds.
find it funny.
Okay.
I'm not saying they have small minds. Their mind's the size same size as mine. It's just not as well stocked. Anyway, let us not forget, what were we talking about? The Lego baptism.
The Lego baptism, which is to say a normal baptism conducted through nominally a sort of Lego font.
Yeah, but not really a Lego font.
No, well, I was disappointed about that. I thought that I was picturing a baby sort of being baptised quite rapidly before the water sort of fizzled out of the
But you
gaps
could
in the
do
bricks.
that. It's a fairly swift business. Yeah. I mean, how long before we're on here discussing the first Lego burial? Which, that, you see, I think you'd have a better chance with, wouldn't you?
Ashes to ashes, bricks to bricks.
Yeah. But you probably could construct a Lego casket.
Yeah.
There's got to be some eccentric Dane who's done that.
Oh, I
Must
bet, yeah. The
I mean,
trouble is
not
what
the
you-
eccentric Dane.
But what you do...
I don't think that's... I don't see that in a production of Hamlet, Frank.
But what you don't want is grave robbers turning up with a big orange lever thing.
With Lego grandpa hair.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, Frank, did you see the title of the churchman who was overseeing the Lego baptism?
No.
The Reverend Prebendary,
Oh,
Stephen
right.
Cook.
Okay, I don't know what prebendary mean. I think that's a C of E thing.
It's definitely a C of E thing. I looked
What
it
do
up.
you mean?
It's his title.
Oh.
He's the Reverend Prebendary. There may be other reverends, but only Stephen is Prebendary.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a reverend once who I'm not going to... I'll be totally
Don't like
frank.
the sound of this.
No,
Was he Bendry or pre-Bendry?
he was Wandery.
Oh, okay.
He was Bryce P. Wandery.
That was his name?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Oh, it'd
the
be
middle
good.
initial.
Be good if he'd been a pre-Bendry.
yeah.
The
He should
He
don't
wasn't
even
someone
try.
I saw on a regular basis like Frank, but he came into my life for practical purposes during a period when I needed his services.
Fair enough. Well, I think when I read this, I remembered of an old priest we used to have in Bearwood when I lived back home in the West Midlands.
Bearwood.
And he said, now I hear that St Mary's is doing a mass which they call a fun mass. And there was a terrible pause, and we all thought, oh no, he said, there'll be no fun here, is what he said. That was the end of that. He was a fierce man.
Frank, just briefly, Domo, Russell T Davis.
Of course.
It turns out, Frank, a lot of your faves...
Many of my heroes have got the middle thing.
Yeah. And also, let's not forget another of your heroes, Jack P. Shepherd, won the British Soap Award for Villain of the Year.
I don't know Jack P. Shepherd. I know Jack Shepherd, the highwayman, who I believe he swam across, I can't remember which body of water it was, in manacles.
Was that?
And made it.
Oh, no, that was someone else who did.
Yeah.
whilst we're on the Lego church, then
I don't want to diss. Look, it's great. If it's getting people into the church, it's great. But it's not a Lego church. In the way that a chip shop is not made of chips. You go into a standard shop and there's chips in there. That is the way in which it is a Lego church.
well, they've set up this pair. It sounded slightly judgmental and sinister, this pair. You know, you
Yes.
often hear criminals referred to in that way.
Yes,
I
I'm
don't
sure
mean
then.
to do that.
I'm
They
sure
sound
then.
lovely people. And they've set up a Lego church in Devon,
Okay.
which the point of this is to encourage children to have an interest in sort of biblical matters through play.
I think the idea is that they recreate Bible stories
with
in
Lego Grandpa.
In Lego. With Lego. Lego Grandpa would be Methuselah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some Bible scenes much tougher to Lego than others.
I know, yeah. And also, you got to take your Lego where you can get it. You know, you're liable to get Luke Skywalker
Yeah.
in a coat of many colours.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want Moses with his little spanner hands clutching the tablets like that.
No,
It
that would be fine. I think.
What, the
You
spanner hands on
you know
the
those,
tablets?
you know those little thin, those tiny little thin Lego bricks.
Yes,
he could
I
be
do
holding
know
two
them.
of those
Yeah.
in his spanner hand.
Is it?
Yeah, I brought the Braille ones first.
It was a,
We'll get those done, and then I'll go back for the hard copy.
it was a Tim Burton film, wasn't it? Moses Spannerhands.
If it was, I'd watch it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're in the Lego church, are we not?
We are.
We're in the world of Lego. We were talking earlier about, I was concerned about Moses' spanner hands. Frank pointed out rather brilliantly that what are you calling them, Frank? The flat Lego pieces could be used for tablets.
I don't know what the term is, but there are grey, thin ones. The sort of things
Sort of roof, do
that
they?
you get covering the gaps on a Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Very useful for walls, I find.
Yeah.
Talking of the
I think
Millennium...
that's generally true of Lego.
Well, talking of the Millennium Falcon, this is what worries me a bit about the biblical Lego. It all looks a bit suspiciously Jedi. Some of it, I think.
Yes.
It's a bit Tatooine because they do work for both, don't they?
But I think the Jedi look is quite biblical anyway.
I think that's right.
Lots of robes.
Does this open the window, do you think, towards Lego blasphemy?
This is what I'm saying.
I
Do
think
you know, is the Tatooine / Nazarene, are they happy bedfellows?
I think I'm okay with that personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do get bearded Lego people.
Yes, but
Yes.
it's a bit more Bee Gees.
Yes.
Don't you find the Lego beards are a bit more
No, they
Gibb?
are a bit Barry Gibb.
Gibb, sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? They don't get it quite right.
Yeah.
Do you know what
No,
would
I
look,
think that's fair.
a Lego crozier would be great. A full bishop's crook crozier
Is he
entirely in
taking you
Lego.
to church?
Yeah, I do.
You could make it very elaborate,
You mean life-sized?
life-sized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that working. I'm thinking like the Ninjago guys as the evil brothers of Joseph.
Yes, yes.
One of the Ninjago Legos, Jay, I think, has actually got that. You know that thing that people do with their eyebrow when they sort of cut a swathe through it?
Oh, yes. Who's the most famous? What, one of the Boyzone men did that? Shane, I believe.
Yeah, it's quite a popular thing, but I think it could be used. The J figure could be used when they tell the story of the parting of the Red Sea. Rarely do they use a Lego eyebrow as symbolism in that tale. I don't know why.
Do you know what I would say? If you live in Lego world, it's not fair. If you're a fan of curves, you're in the wrong world.
No, I know, it's very
Because the
straight
people are
lines.
very up and down.
Yeah.
You can get a sort of... I went to Legoland and I went to a class which talked about helter-skelter dynamics. Not helter-skelter.
Oh, I was going to say.
What's the things...
Pierre will know.
What's the thing? Roller coaster dynamics. I was thinking you don't go on an emotional helter-skelter unless it's real. Things are really bad.
You do, probably.
So Yeah, and they showed how to do that and how important friction is in the world of the. So they did have curved ramps.
Cheating.
Okay.
No, I think it was a standard Lego
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so just to
We don't want
recap.
to go lapsing into Lego City, the most boring aspect of Lego. No celebrities in it, no well-known franchises. It's just people.
Is it?
Forget it. Lego City.
You're a real Lego glory hound.
Yeah.
I don't want to go Lego City.
No. Take me down to Lego City, where everyone looks the same and they ain't pretty. Take me to Ninjago. Yes. I don't think that's going to be released.
No, I don't.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Firstly, lovely little message for Faye, whose her last show is today on our team. And this is from Keep Flying Real.
Okay.
Good luck, Faye. We'll miss hearing your laughter in the background. Isn't that nice? I like that. Can we also... You've gone quiet. Is that something
I was just trying to work out whether it's a friend of Faye's. Is it a
do you
friend of
think
yours?
it
Faye?
is?
No.
But what I like is they've ended it with good luck on your next venture. It's quite
Okay.
formal.
Already started the next venture. Do you want to say where you're going, Faye, or do you rather
You're allowed
not?
to say... Yeah, she's saying you're allowed.
She's working with a national hero, Gary Lineker, at his podcast company. What about that?
Free crisps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lovely.
And free satellite reception through the ears.
How dare you?
No, she's got a very good job and well done you.
Frank, can we go down to previously Ali?
Oh, yes. Let me see what I've got here.
Under Milkwood reading about to begin. Come
Here
on,
we go.
let's do something.
Hold on, let's put my flute down. I don't think was it flute? Anyway.
So, you were talking, was it last week you were talking about marshmallows?
Yes,
Tonics.
well, it was. We went through we had some very helpful readers. I was talking about I'd had a tonics hamper, and tonics, if you may know, make tea cakes and stuff. They have a lot of variety, but I'd say that marshmallow is at the centre of their creativity. And I was debating what it was, and it turned out that mallow is an actual plant that you get this thing from, which did shock me. And then I said, well, so does it come from a marsh? Ha ha, how funny I am. And the answer was yes. It does come from the sides of rivers and stuff like that. And I said, you meant marshmallow? Which I was blown away by that.
Well, also, we've got some
Will we find that sausages come from bulrushes? Is that the next revelation?
Yes.
It is.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Oh, I
because
haven't been surprised since the 80s.
what would the bulrushes be in the Lego world? I'd like you two to think about that.
Okay.
After listening to the Totally Tunnocks podcast, I found myself... That's our show, by the way. That's not a podcast that exists in its own right called Totally Tunnocks.
No.
I found myself spending way too much time pondering the origin of marshmallow and felt the need to investigate. And I would say Joanne has gone deep.
Okay.
It transpires that mallow, we love mallow,
Yes.
was made by squeezing the sap from the mallow plant that grew in the marshes of ancient Egypt and mixing it with honey. I didn't know
Okay.
about the honey bit.
No.
And it was considered a treat for gods and royalty. So when you're tucking into your Totally Tunnocks,
It feels like it's a treat for gods and royalty.
in many people's eyes you are.
It is like
belong to
eating
that,
a
Freddie.
very sweet cloud.
Oh.
It's beautiful.
Is that why mummies sort of mumble and are indistinct when they sort of come to life because they've got a mouthful of marshmallows?
I don't know
Wrapped
that
up
I've
in
ever
it.
Yeah, you're so
actually.
right.
I've only got the accounts of mummies coming to life second hand.
Really? You've
I've never
lived.
actually seen one. That's why they have the outstretched hands. They're heading to a local confectioner.
Reaching into a big bowl.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, you're right. Well, how come, you're right, mummies are really inarticulate, and I've often wondered, is it because of the bandages, or did they just not pay attention at school? What is going on there?
Poor diction.
I just think, I think death really takes it out of you.
Yeah, but why do they make any noise? Why not be silent? Why go,
Well, Muhammad Ali used to do a sort of stand-up routine about this, about how anyone ever got caught
Did
by a
he?
mummy when they just, you see, so they walk like this. How do they catch anyone? And he used to do like proper stand-up
quite
about
decent
it.
material?
You wouldn't heckle.
No, no, maybe not.
Can I say mummies, very thick knees.
I always feel a bit.
Thick knees, the mummies, Frank.
Having met a few boxers, they must get really sick of people saying stuff like, well, obviously we're not going to argue with you because people say light
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'd have to hit someone if I was a boxer.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Okay, so Felicity Taylor has sent through Richard E. Grant.
Oh, yes.
Lovely example.
I should have got him as well, fellow forehead dominated man.
Oh, yes.
I used to go around his house and we used to show, we used to project our favourite movies onto each other's foreheads. What a night
Who
that was.
else is in your gang? Who are the other Tweety Pie?
Mr. Lardy Dargona Graham from In Ain't Half Hot Mom. Can we mention It Ain't Half?
Is he
We
still-
can't. Okay, well, I
Is
won't.
Mr. Lardy Dargana Graham still with us? I doubt it.
I don't know if he is. I
No.
think he was more bald as well, whereas me and Richard have kept our hair. We've just, I don't know about him. I have to stand on a chair to comb the front of my hair. Otherwise, I can't reach it.
On the plus side, I think it makes you both, it has youth-giving properties.
Yes.
Okay?
I think in 1,000 years' time, everyone will look like me and Richard E. Grant. It's just an evolutionary
Really?
process. Yeah.
You see, I have a theory that everyone, once you hit 55, really, everyone, regardless of gender, looks basically like Arthur Scargill.
Yeah.
And if you can just lean into that, you'll be okay.
Okay.
All right? We were in the previously section.
You were.
Pierre, is there anything that particularly struck you?
Yes, regarding the great ampersand
Oh, yes.
trial.
I wonder how many people have incorporated that into a Christmas game.
Surely.
In case you didn't hear it last week, what you have to do is don't tell anyone, don't warn them up front, and then you say, right, you have to draw an ampersand from memory. Oh, honestly, it's like the generation game.
Ideally, you'd sort of pull out a revolver as you demand this as well. Draw an ampersand.
We try not to encourage that here on
Well,
Absolute.
some sort of deer hunter.
Yeah.
Or as we called it, I'm afraid, at university with beer, the beer hunter.
Oh, did you call
Yes,
it that?
and we've used it we did cans of beer, I'm afraid.
Lovely.
I used to play the Deer Hunter theme on this show quite a bit. Do you remember? I used to like as if it was a letter to Hunter.
Oh, I see.
What was it called? That program? Gladiators. Gladiators ready? Pardon? I
Well-
was just saying, gladiators ready. Anyway, look, we're near the end of the show.
Oh.
Were you about to say something, Pierre?
Well, a short missive regarding ampersands from Keith.
Go on, fire it out.
Dear Frank, no one in my circle of friends would know what an ampersand is, and I'd like to keep it that way.
That's someone who's happy with their lot. I envy them now. We're actually off for 2 weeks now. But don't worry, there'll be 2 best of podcasts for you to enjoy. There will be one sort of show, which will be a best of. But there'll be a podcast for each of the weeks, which is the best of this last year. Imagine how good that'll be. And so we come to the end. I have to say goodbye to our assistant producer, Faye, who is leaving us today, who we will miss very, very much, has been a very important contribution to the whole project and whose energy fills the whole building. Anyway, people move on and we wish her very, very well, but she leaves with our love and best wishes. And thank you for listening to us this year. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time 3 weeks. Toodaloo.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.